Welcome back. Episode 113 of the Grouch and the Brainstorm. I'm Mike, and I am here today with Jill.
Hey, guys.
And Matt.
What's happening?
And our special guest is Lisa. First time on camera, but probably the fourth, fifth time she's been on the show.
One of our regular folks.
One of our regulars. So we are glad she's here with us. She's not going to have headphones due to the national headphone shortage for tariff reasons or something like that.
Yes.
I don't remember what it was, but we're not going to have. But she does have a wireless microphone, and Lisa is actually preparing to go tonight to the Koala Club to tell her story. So.
Welcome aboard.
And that's actually going to be a bonus episode, too. So
yeah, we're going to record
our real bonus is going to be Lisa recording. We're going to record her story tonight. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Here's the Grouch and the Brainstorm, guys. This is all of us. Before we go any further, though, we got some announcements, and it's kind of done been kind of ruined a little bit, but... Yeah, I love my announcement music. I can't help it. I look forward to that all week. So, today, May 10th, 1979, Matt, what happened?
Phil F.
Phil F. happened May 10th.
Yes. Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yep. And so, 79, he'll have 50 years in 29. So, he is, 46 years?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is.
That is
a long
insane.
time.
Matt, how old are you? 48?
46.
Oh, so he got sober the year you were born.
Dude, my first meeting at the Koala Club ever, Phil Shares, first guy, and he goes, "My sobriety days, man." And I went, "Shit, I was born I was like 1 month old." And I was like, "How bad of a drinking problem does this guy got?"
They almost identical. I remember when Phil F. he shared, and I said, "What in the hell is wrong with someone that's still got to come?" I plan on being here a couple weeks. He must have killed somebody or something.
Him and Joe, I was like, I wanted to slide up and be like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Why are you still here? I thought it was a magic wand thing, and you just went away after a while. But
isn't that insane though? That Phil F.
Good
1979,
man.
and our very own Matt L. here in the studio celebrated 7 years this past week.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And really another, because I'm an alcoholic, Jill. I'm an alcoholic. So the way I look at that is, if you put me and Phil together, we've got over 50 years of sobriety. So that's the way I look at it.
Okay.
I'm gonna call him and tell him about that later. So he did most of that work though. But 7 years, man. I'm very grateful for everybody and my tribe and my people. And y'all are there's some of them sitting right here at the table, and I'm just wouldn't be here without that group. So that's all a birthday means to me, is just say thank you to everybody else. So
We're proud of you.
Yeah.
thank you.
Very.
Yeah. Matt,
7-year itch. Don't get no itch.
I honestly thought after, when I met Matt a while back, which, by the way, this past week we also celebrated 2 years of recording the Grouch and the Brainstorm. Did y'all know that?
Wow.
I didn't know that.
No.
Yeah. Actually, today's the 10th. I believe the first episode was released on the 7th. Mm-hmm. And I'll correct that here if I'm wrong. And 2 years later, we're still doing it. 2 years, 4 days, episode 113. That's more than an episode a week. And we have actually skipped 2 weeks in there. So, and we had multiple people on the show prior to that. But that is that's pretty cool.
While
Agreed.
we're announcing, by the way, also birthdays this week. Craig
Yeah, Craig had
and
3
Ben
years.
S, who
Oh,
both
awesome.
have been on here, and Chris C, who's on here quite a bit, his is coming up in a few days, so
Yep.
2 or 3 days. So a lot of birthdays this couple of weeks.
Wow. A lot of sobriety. And
Yeah.
maybe it's something about coming on the show.
I don't.
Probably
I mean,
not.
I could tell myself that, or something. But you know what I will say about all of them? Yes, y'all have heard them on here, and I know there's a lot of new people that listen. These folks, everybody sitting here, and the folks that come on here, and they keep having birthdays. I was looking the other day, and Chris C has done every birthday on our podcast.
Sure has.
And when you start
too.
to look through there, and you start to see that, and you go, "Wait, everybody's doing the same dadgum thing."
Yeah.
They're working on their recovery, sharing with other people, going to meetings, doing all that stuff. It's not a secret,
It's a great thing to have, though, because
Sure.
like if you can't get to a meeting and things are going, you can just pop it on and listen no matter what, and it helps you a lot.
But we carry the message, and that's what we
right.
do. And all those folks are doing that, and that's what it boils down to. So.
Yeah, and hey, look, it's paying off for them because
Yeah.
every one of them have better lives than they had when I met them.
Right.
Sure.
So what the hell, man? That's pretty cool.
I always say they stay sober in spite of being on the podcast. You know, they manage to work around it.
Yeah, that might be it.
There may
too.
be more truth to that. I don't know.
You know, and Chris has like, he lifts weights.
Yeah.
He exercises. He eats looks like almost dog food type stuff in order to. Yeah, it's pretty mushy looking, almost like
Yeah,
my
I've seen
mom's
him in
old
action.
hash she used to
What are
make.
y'all
Yeah.
talking about?
Chris.
His meals are like pre-made. He's serious about all that, man.
Like in a bag?
It's just chicken and rice and stuff, but
Oh,
he's got
okay.
like so
Blender.
much of it. Yeah, he's got so much of it that he
Like
eats.
the farmer's
Yeah.
dog. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
hey, I'm gonna tell you, man, that stuff is. I mean, he does that, and then Ben's just the opposite.
Yeah.
If you
Ben come from the school I do. You know,
Ben does just the opposite of Chris. So.
Ben will eat a Nutri-Rat if you cook it right.
yeah. Ben's just like, give it to me, dead or alive. You know, he's got the Bon Jovi
Yeah.
food going on.
Yeah,
You know,
oh man,
wanted dead or alive.
he's not scared. So
Yeah. So, but either way, man, those guys' sobriety should be a testament to all of us, and what can happen whenever you practice a program and practice a little self-discipline. So, which was originally going to be the topic for today, but we're not going to do that one. We're going to do another one. Before we get into all that, though, we haven't seen each other in over a week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be up for quite a while editing so I can get this thing out in the morning. And Jill, what have you been up to?
I've been working. That's my usual. I also
My
usual. I saw Bonnie Raitt this week.
What?
And
Is that
that
great?
was
dude,
fabulous.
I saw that advertisement.
And I'm so glad I went to see her. And
Did she sing "Give Us Something to Talk About"?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just. She's 75 and she sounds exactly like she sounded, decades ago. And she was playing the slide guitar. I mean, she's just amazing. Anyway, I saw Bonnie Raitt. I got a new car. I mean, like things are.
Got the Volvo.
Yes,
got
I know. I treated
did see
myself. I did. I treated myself.
I get Bonnie Raitt and Melissa Etheridge mixed up.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just really not okay.
Well, yeah, I
He's
guess.
just like, what?
I guess if
Wait
you
a
come
minute.
to their window, you can give them something to talk about. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So they can do a duo.
I think Bonnie Raitt got sober many years ago. Am I right on that?
Yes. Yes.
You may look it up.
She did mention that.
Yeah.
She was actually.
She mentioned it. Were you like at her house?
She was on stage.
Was she at the Strand or
Oh,
where was she?
No.
We were at the Municipal, but I did watch a little something on her, or like a little biography, talking about how she had a drinking problem very early on. Because I think they found her when she was like 17 or so.
Do y'all want to know when she got sober?
When?
Yes.
1987.
Wow.
Bonnie
Wow.
Raitt has been sober since 1987.
Wow.
Anyway, she's beautiful. The whole thing was beautiful, and so that was nice to. And I was so
75.
happy the next day. I mean, I was just like, I feel like, I need to do like more things for me.
Yeah.
Sure.
If that makes any sense.
There's nothing like live music too. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
could
it's
be-
just it was like ultimate self care,
Yeah.
which I just kind of have been burning lately, just going and going.
Did she do Angel from Montgomery?
Yes, she
That's a
did. That's
good
my
one.
favorite
Oh, yeah,
one.
yeah,
I don't know
like
if
that
I've
one.
ever heard it.
It's
John
beautiful.
Prine wrote that song. Yeah.
Melissa Etheridge didn't sing that song.
Well, so here's the deal, man. So I'm on my way to work one morning, and Jill texts me something. I don't remember what it was, but then I asked her a question. What you asked me something, and she said she went to see Bonnie Raitt last night, right?
Uh-huh.
So I got off the text with Jill or whatever, and I'm like, I'm gonna listen to some Bonnie Raitt. So instead of searching on Apple Music Bonnie Raitt, I searched "Come to My Window," and then I went down this Melissa Etheridge rabbit hole. So I take it all the way down the Melissa. I'm listening to "Come to My Window," and then I was like, "Oh, Bonnie Raitt didn't sing that." I was, and then I then obviously, by the time I got around to Bonnie Raitt, I was at work and then forgot all about it until, well, right now, to be quite honest with you.
So it's funny we're talking about the musician thing. I watched there's a guy on YouTube named Otis Gibb. He's a musician, been around forever.
Last name's Gibb,
Gibb.
like Barry and Andy and Maurice and Robin.
But he has these old musicians on, and they tell stories behind the scenes and all that stuff. Well, he had Ray Wiley Hubbard, the Texas guy. Okay, he was on the other day, been sober a long time, and in the middle of that, I'm just listening to it, and in the middle of that, Otis asked him about sobriety, and guess how he got sober? Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Well,
And his sponsor, they hemmed him up. Now, how would you like to be daggum Stevie Ray Vaughan going, dude, you got to quit drinking? You know what I mean? But that's who, he said, man, he brought his sponsor. He named the guy's sponsor and Stevie's sponsor. And that was really cool, man. He talked about Alcoholics Anonymous for about 10 minutes. And he's like, same thing we all said. I thought it was going to be a bunch of old guys in a circle griping. And he said it couldn't have been further from the truth. So
it doesn't matter where you come from or who you are.
that's right.
We all do the same thing.
That's
man, Lisa, that microphone sounds really good. I can't believe
Maybe
it.
it's just me.
It might be.
I think it's
can
Mike.
you do a little Bonnie Raitt for us
No,
while
no,
you
no.
have that?
You know what?
Start singing "Come to My Window."
Well, I went to some windows. No, we're not talking
Back in
about
the
it.
day.
Got a point. Got a point there, Lisa. So Matt, what you been up to, bud?
Man, just cutting grass, getting the boys ready for Mother's Day. Got to call my mama tomorrow, and doing that thing. And it was so sweet, man. Lacey's youngest son, Trace, I asked him, I said, did you get your mama something for Mother's Day? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay. I was like, all right, good. And he said, well, not really nothing. I just drew her some stuff. And I was like, bro, that's the best
That's
thing.
perfect.
Like, he was almost like, I didn't buy her something. And I was like, your mom's going to flip out. Like you hit it out of the park. So anyway, so they're fired up, I guess, about that.
Oh, which I have totally already forgotten. And yeah, I am presentless.
Well, tomorrow is Mother's Day, and
Yes.
and this past year, I don't know if I probably didn't even share it on the show, but my mom had a fall, and
no.
yeah, so my mom was at my nephew, who may as well be my brother, basically. Matter of fact, he had a birthday, but not a sobriety birthday. I think he turned 17 a couple days ago. But he had a play at school, and he goes to like North DeSoto, and he had a play at school. And so while everybody's showing up for the play, Mom falls, and yeah, they had to delay the whole play by an hour. Mom and Pop are sitting there with the EMTs out and all. Yeah, she did a little. And my mom, it'd be different if my mom was old. My mom is not old. She's not much older than I. She's, I don't know. She's not that old, right?
So she's okay. No broken.
Well, it fractured something and might have to go to physical therapy or all this other stuff. But she's gonna be okay. And yeah, and man, that yeah.
I'm telling you why, man. They break a hip, man. It's over.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Well, that's where it starts. They fall for some reason. They fall off the porch, and yeah, man. Everybody I know, it starts with falling off the porch. I personally don't. She would have to go get a porch first off to fall off of.
I fell off mine.
Yeah, see, it
Couple months
happens.
ago.
Yeah.
Right out the
I mean,
sidewalk.
maybe that's why they make them baby gates for adults that go around that porch.
Me and
you know?
Landry were walking out the door, and I just took a step, and next thing I know, I'm laying on my back in the dirt. And he's looking at me, he goes, are you okay? I'm like, not really. Mostly ego.
Tell
though.
that I fell off a porch
Sorry.
story.
I wish I would have seen that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard out there. But Matt,
knows?
what besides birthdays and fishing, what you been up to?
Oh, we did go to a high school graduation the other night for a niece, and this young lady had a 4.0.
Nice.
Wow.
And I was like, I asked Lacey, I was like, is that alcohol and grade average put together? Or how do you do that?
Yeah,
And
blood alcohol level.
Yeah, evidently you study and stuff, and like she's real smart. But she's going to NSU on a scholarship, be a pharmacist, and very cool.
And
Very cool.
pharmacists nowadays have to go to school. I want to say 8 years.
Yeah,
I think
she's
it
got
is
to
8
do
years.
Yeah.
two rotation things or whatever. So
I got a cousin, whatever, that's a pharmacist, and she only had to go 4 years. And all my friends that I grew up with that became pharmacists, they only did 4 years. But but now it's like an 8-year deal.
it was down in Florine, is where we were, middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but nice place, nice school. Just very small town.
Fluorine. I know where
Fluorine,
fluorine
yep,
is. Yeah, man.
So-
Where they invented fluoride.
I don't believe that.
Not at all.
Back in World War
Mike,
no,
II.
no.
Mike sounds like Anchorman. It was an old wooden ship.
Invented fluorine.
Don't buy that book.
Actually, it was chlorine, not
No,
fluorine,
no.
and a lot of folks use chlorine nowadays. They mix it with battery acid. or something.
Acetone.
Yeah, but yeah. So I'm doing nothing but working, by the way. So my second in charge has been on vacation. So good guy. He's a great guy. New to role. And that's a lot of responsibility for someone, especially that is new to role. And he's gonna have a baby. I mean, he's not. His wife is, and June the 15th, they're expecting a child, and he's going to Vegas. He went to Vegas for the week for free. No, not for free, without her.
That's still free.
Yeah, but it kept me busy without having him there. So
I'm sure.
yeah, I'm still focused on that. There we go. Look at that. Yeah. I don't know what that is. That's
I think that's some-
men on pause. That's where my iPad was. Yeah. Lisa, what have you been up to?
Well.
This may turn into an intervention. Mike, let's talk.
I moved to Texas,
I heard.
and 2 days after I was there, my son went to a treatment center,
Okay.
and he is 50 days sober.
Come on.
Nice.
And the day he got out, they were informed that his father's chemo was not working, so they took the port out. And as we speak, all of them are there because he is in the last stages.
Oh no.
And my nephew became the assistant DA of Longview and got sworn in, and so that's amazing. And coming from a world famous hairstylist to shampooing clients that have dementia, I'm doing great. Love
Hey.
my life.
Sounds like life on life's terms.
It is.
Like extreme life on life's terms.
Listen, it is amazing. And my son is with me, and we could not stand each other over 3 years ago.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a good thing though.
It's all good. Remember, and if it hadn't been for Alcoholics Anonymous, I will tell you that I wouldn't be able to be a part of the family of my ex-husband and his wife and the children. But the steps and doing the principles certainly gave me a life I couldn't.
Funny how that all kind of, sometimes it just shows up. You work on them, and then
Yeah.
a situation happens. You go, oh,
Yeah, I mean,
Look how
I
that
even
worked.
cooked them casseroles and didn't poison them.
dang.
I'm impressed.
That's
Impressive.
saying something.
I know, and they liked it.
I did. It reminds me of a show. I watched this show this week, and I don't watch TV. If anybody, y'all know that,
what?
but it's on Peacock, and it's called Southern Fried Lies, and it's a brand. I guess it's one of those. Remember that show when the Birdcage came out and everybody's watching
Yes.
the Birdcage? Well, this is kind of like the Birdcage, but it wasn't anything like the Birdcage. It's more like a true crime drama, and happened in Camden, Arkansas, which ain't too far from here, and it's a good show. But anyway, that's what it reminded me of is and where are you at? What town?
I'm in
Longview?
Tyler, Texas.
Oh, you're in Tyler. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I like Tyler, Texas. I used to have to go there quite often.
Yes.
So I don't now. So I drive through it.
Yeah, a
sometime.
lot.
Yeah, twice today. I'll drive through it. Yeah.
Oh.
Once here, once on the way back.
I thought you'd been already. I was like, wait.
How long did it take you to get here, Lisa? About an hour and a half?
About an hour 15.
Yeah.
But I have a lead foot, I must say. Yeah.
Well, in Texas, they actually let you drive over there. Like they'll raise the speed
80.
limits.
Yes,
yeah.
it's yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
I mean, but after you get in Dallas, if you go certain places, there's no speed limit.
Really?
on the other side.
On the other sid, like after
Yes.
you wrecked
Like
and
in
you've
about
crossed
after,
over.
Yes, after that. But
Head bath and
there, are
way
no,
beyond.
there are no speed limits.
Yeah, there's no,
You die.
Out in the stars.
Yeah.
what I look forward to. First retirement, then no speed limits.
Some of those
I mean, they
guys
don't
on
really
those-
care in Dallas if they have speed limits, do they?
It's a
No,
suggestion.
no, man. If you can, matter of fact, if you
go
can
the speed
go,
limit, you're in trouble.
if you can go the posted speed limit, you're doing really good.
That's right.
In Dallas, you feel like you're going.
gosh.
Oh, it's pretty
It's like
Traffic's
the
hard.
Audubon in there.
bad.
I had a
but-
blowout on 635, and I was on the outside lane, and I made it all the way across onto the ramp.
It's like playing Frogger.
It is.
Yeah.
Splat.
And nobody cares, man.
They don't.
They're
They wouldn't
no.
stop.
Like, dude, you're on a motorcycle. We don't care.
No,
You
no,
know,
they'll
like-
cut you off. And
They
Yeah.
don't- They do not care. So in Dallas, if you have to go 14 miles or more, you need to plan for an hour ahead. So, I had to go over to Arlington this week, and I had to be there at 11. I left my store at 9:50. Got there at 10:40.
Dang.
Yeah,
Yep.
17 miles one way, and that's how long it took me. So yeah, and that's not stopping to get gas or Starbucks or any of that stuff.
Do
so,
not get off, because if you do, you can't get back on.
yeah.
I mean, I lived in Carrollton, and I worked on Mockingbird. It would take me 2.5 hours to get home sometimes.
yeah, I mean, like nothing's changed. It's been like that since 1970.
That's right. And Houston's worse.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Baton Rouge ain't no, it ain't Dallas, but we just recently went through there. It still sucks.
Absolutely.
Still sucks.
But they only have one main highway that does that.
Yeah.
Well, it's just
not.
right. It's just
not,
right there when you curve into town. It's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta love it.
So that brings us, actually, that doesn't actually segue into our topic. I think it's Lisa breathing into that thing. That's what it is.
That's
Lisa.
what it is,
Blow them ears out.
I will
So
not do that anymore.
we're still trying. That mic has
This
the most
is so good, so maybe I
amazing
can just
sound.
do it back here. You can still hear me great?
Oh yeah,
Sounds great.
yeah.
I'm just peachy.
And
man.
tonight when it's pinned to your lapel, you just forget all about it.
Let's hope so, because I cannot do this. You know what I'm saying? Hello?
Yeah, no, you don't have to do all that. You just pin it to your
Oh,
lapel.
I noticed you were like kind of holding your arm.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, so just
Do I have to?
y'all may not understand it, but I had it set up in another mode, and when I switched it to dynamic mode, it turned into a real microphone like we're using. Right?
I mean, we probably could have used a little.
Me and
thing
Jill
to pin
noticed it.
on
We
there.
didn't want to say nothing, but we noticed it.
Yeah.
what?
Me and Jill, when he changed that mic over, and we knew what was going on.
Of
You were
course.
just waiting to see if
Yeah.
he could do it?
Of
I
course.
understand.
We just,
So I was driving over here today, and I was listening to a podcast, and if anybody knows, I nothing against recovery podcasts. I think they're great. I have one. I get it. But I listen to true crime podcasts most of the time. Is what I look kind of like Jill does national parks, and Matt does
true crime.
papal.
Anything serial killer
The new
related.
election of the Pope. So I was listening to true crime all the time with Mike and Gibby, and they're talking about this guy who did a heinous act, right? And he couldn't have his girlfriend or his wife, and she didn't want to be with him. And long story short, he ends up killing her and her boyfriend, right? And he had actually planned on killing himself, but it didn't work out too well. So he's still alive. Actually, I think he's in jail. But anyway, if he's not passed by now, because it could have been a very old story. But anyway, he left a note, like a suicide note. And this is what made me think about this topic. And the suicide note said a lot of things, but in the note it said, "Tell the kids I love them." And he's saying, "Mom, I love you. Dad, I love you. Make sure the kids know how much I love them." They have 4 kids, a set of twins, and then a couple of non-twins. And he said, let everybody know I love them. And he wrote all this stuff, right? And I remember thinking, when those kids are old enough and they get a hold of that letter, if they even want it, what he said meant absolutely nothing. What he did meant everything.
Absolutely.
It changed the lives of so many. His actions changed. Now, that was a negative, right? And sometimes I got to view the negative and the positive at the same time. So, but when we get in the program of AA, we learn real quick that it's a program of action.
Agreed.
And so it's our actions that make a difference, not what we say. It's what we do. And, and if I imagine for the first few years, people may still be living in feelings and all the other stuff. So when someone else says something, it pisses them off or it makes them depressed or whatever. But did they do? Action, not words, means so much more, right? So I pick up the phone tomorrow, call my mom on Mother's Day and say, hey, Mom, I love you, right? And then I could go back out next week, start drinking and raising hell and making her life hell, right? Or I don't have to pick up the phone tomorrow at all except for to say Happy Mother's Day and then keep living the life I live in order for her to actually not have to worry about me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So action, not words, is
Okay.
what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
What do you got on it, Jill?
Actions and not words. Well, I mean, like, especially for people like us that were probably completely full of shit for a very long time. We lie, we manipulate, we're just cons. I mean, that's just what we do or what we did. And so I think that's why that is so important, because we're good at the game of bullshitting.
Yeah, we are.
We've been bullshitting ourselves, everybody. And I mean, I know that, when it came to like even my amends, like me just saying, hey, I'm sorry, doesn't mean shit. I mean, my family, everybody's heard it a million times. But, like they teach us, like, how can I make this right? What can I do to make this right? And, I mean, I think now people can trust my words because I've put in a lot of action, 15 years of action. And I've always done what I've said and said what I do. I mean, like I've been pretty solid with that, and I haven't had any hiccups or anything. So, especially at the beginning when you're first getting sober, like people want to see something. They want to see change, and change doesn't happen through words. It's through the things that you do. I mean, like, yeah, it can happen through words, but is it true? And you just don't know that.
Right.
And there was a lot of change that I had to do. I mean, a lot. And you said action. I mean, especially when it comes to, recovery, early recovery, when you're shaping this new identity for yourself and this new life for yourself, it is, exactly what they say, like changing people, places, and things. I literally, I moved off to a treatment center, lived in a halfway house for, 9 months after I did that. So, that was showing them I was serious, showing people I'm serious about my sobriety. I'm going to do whatever it takes, because that's what the counselor said. Are you willing to do whatever it takes? That's action.
Correct.
That wasn't sure. Because first I laughed at her. I was like, absolutely not. And, I think I've probably eaten a lot of my words, which is good. I needed to, because I was full of shit.
Did you see, though, that as you started doing the whatever it took, those things as you went along, you saw progress? And so
Absolutely.
that's what helped me. It was like I saw a little bit of progress, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll try this,
I continue to. And it's kind of like been like that, all these years. Is just continuing to stay focused, continuing to stay obedient, continue to do the same things that I've been doing, and keep my eyes on the prize. I mean, which is long-term, forever sobriety, because I know that if I go back, then it's all gone. It's just all gone. It's action to me is waking up every morning and getting up, getting ready. I suit up, I show up, I go to work, I say my prayers, I do what I need to do at work, and I actually like to. I mean, back before then, I didn't like to work. I was trying to get out of it in every type of way I could possibly, do. But it's it's being a sister, it's being an aunt, it's being a daughter, and it's being a friend, and it's probably a million other things that I just can't like go on and on and on and on about. But it's me doing, it's me being a service. My job is of service. My career is, and to them, and I get this feedback quite a lot from, inmates and all. They're like, they're happy to know that I went through what they went through, and that they get to see someone that's made it through the other side. And you can't bullshit that. You just can't.
Yep.
I would not be able to show up for work, keep a job. I would not be looking well. I'd be sickly. I mean, thing is, people can tell when you're not doing the deal. Mm-hmm. All these crazy things start to happen again, all these little consequences and stuff, and I don't have them anymore. I was a magnet to just constant consequences, and my dad was like, I don't understand why this stuff keeps happening to you. And I was just always like, played stupid. I don't know either.
Oh,
What? Exactly.
everyone's picking on me.
Exactly.
That's what I used to think.
Yeah.
I have to take action. I have to be proactive, and it's imperative for my sobriety, but also just my well-being, my emotional well-being, because I can easily just be like, nah, don't want to.
But your action, when you put the action in, your words mean something.
Absolutely.
So when you have someone going, hey, I'm a week sober, Jill, will you sponsor me and all these things? And you go, yeah. And you tell them something, they look back at Jill and go, oh, Jill does everything she's
Says she does.
asking me to do.
Yeah.
She does that. Mm-hmm. And so then your words do mean something, but it's kind of like the cred, the gold in the Fort Knox backing up our money. It ain't worth nothing if that gold's not in there. So
What?
our,
Fort
money,
Knox?
our money's backed up by gold.
Supposedly.
Who?
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So am I the only one here that has relapsed?
I have not relapsed.
Well,
So it's 7
you
years.
had some time, yeah.
I had 7 years, yeah. And I thought I had to have it. I didn't think I could make mistakes. I mean, how could I be making mistakes? Because I had you given me the answers. And sometimes for me, not being careful with that and just realizing that I was human and that things could happen. And that there does come a time, for me, there came a time where it got dark. And when it got dark, rather than talking to people about that and keeping it to myself, because it kept, I kept going to meetings, kept doing the things, and I thought, I shouldn't be this way. Then it took me to a place that I wish I'd never went to. And so today I remind myself that it's perfectly okay if I have a crappy day.
Yeah.
It is okay because I'm not going to do anything perfect. I mean, there comes times whenever, heck, I'm Alice. And whenever Alice is, I'm just like, dear Lord, what are we going to do? But I see my growth from you, not from myself. I'm shocked. And I'll say that because my son said the last week he was in treatment, he called and he needed a couple packs of cigarettes, how we all do when we're in treatment. And I said, okay, I'll be by there. And I can't get by there. Well, about 9:30 he called and he said, are you okay? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, you always do whatever you tell me you're going to do. And I'm thinking, who the hell are you talking to? That is not me. I don't do anything I say I'm going to do. And so then it showed me, then you hold on to that little thing, And the same, it's been that way with a lot for me these last 3 years, is other people saying it to me rather than me saying, I don't see it.
Helps when you realize people are actually watching too. Like your son saying that. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
people are noticing that I'm actually doing better and being.
And I would not be the mother that I would be today if I hadn't went back out. And I know that. Am I glad that I went back out? Absolutely not. But also it made me grow up to a point that I can be more tolerant and loving, because I don't have that. I want it to be okay. You know, like my mother said, well, I'm really concerned about him right now. And my thought was, I was always good whenever stuff was going down. It's when nothing was going on, whenever the things started getting a little crazy for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I got in a U-Haul and drove across the state line. Everything was beautiful.
Yeah.
So I have a twisted mind, people.
I think we all do.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. You're not alone there. So
And nobody else can understand that except for the people inside the rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I was just fixing to say that might be something that, you know, like let's just say a mom is listening to the show and she's got a kid that wants to get recovery, right? And to hear us say, you know, but we're still, even after all these years, we still got, I do, I don't know about, you know, Melissa Etheridge over there, but, you know.
Well, Bonnie, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I like Bonnie Raitt way more than Melissa Etheridge.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
Bonnie Raitt's unbelievable.
Let's just drop
Well,
it.
we might have just lost a listener.
Well,
if Melissa listens to the show.
Except for me, Melissa, I got you.
I'm not saying I don't
Gotcha.
listen to her. I'm just saying I like Bonnie Raitt a lot more. But
We see
you
what
know,
you like.
I had this is kind of funny. We were talking about it because I kind of got put on the spot, and I don't know if y'all ever had this, but like somebody sponsor shopping, like they're like not in a bad way. They're feeling their way around, talking to a few people.
Yeah.
And
As
I
they
had
should.
one of those, and kind of just seeing who they might align with or whatever. And it was a guy, and I talked to him a few times, and just kind of never really got on it. And so the other day, he texts me, and he goes, "What all meetings are you going to?" And I could have been like, "Oh, I just go to the 5:30 every day," which is what I'd normally say. Well, I ain't going to the 5:30 every day. I've been cutting grass every day, and I've been once or twice a week, and I'm not going the way I normally do. And I texted him back, and I said, "My home group is the 5:30. My butt is only in the seat about once or twice a week." And I said, I normally am there. I like to be there 4 to 5 times a week is the way I would prefer it. But I'm not going to meetings like I should be going to. He never, he's okay and went on. But it's even that thing of like,
Did you take it personal?
no, not at all. Not at all. No. And he wasn't asking me like, you're not going to meetings. He was asking me because, and I thought that's the way to approach that. He needs to know, you
The
know,
truth.
whatever information it is.
Yep.
And, you know, I just think that kind of stuff is very important, you know, with us, especially to
Absolutely.
I have several daughters, but I have a teenage daughter now. A couple of years ago, we used to go to CADA all the time, and we go in on Saturday nights, and it's a treatment center here in town for people that are not from this area. And I've gone faithfully for years when I was asked to go, and we go on Saturday nights. I know you've done it. Y'all probably done it too. And was going all the time. I never say anything to my kids about that. They know I go to meetings, and especially my older kids, they don't really care what I'm doing as far as recovery. They just know, hey, maybe it's getting a little bit better, and you hope that they see that. But what was awesome was I was in a place there one night, and one of the young ladies that was a client comes up to me, and she was friends with my teenage daughter. And she said, I've had, and I knew it kind of in the back of my mind. I was like, yeah, I remember hearing something about that. But I ended up talking to her, and I was like, hey, it's going to be all right. You know how we do. We talk a little while. I left, never said a word. About a week goes by, and my teenage daughter, I guess, ran into her somewhere. And she said, your dad's awesome. Like, he talked to me. And she came home, and she was like, Dad, you talked to my friend. I'm like, I talk to a lot of people like that. And she goes, she thought that was the coolest thing ever, because now I guess it's somebody her age that she knows. You know? But I was like, baby, that's just what we do. You know, it's not a big deal. We all do it for each other. So, but yeah, that is nice when your family can see some of that stuff that you're doing and go, hey,
Absolutely.
You know?
My son hated AA. Like the last time he went was when he was 3, okay? And so he would say, I couldn't stand all those prayers and all that stuff. And so we were at a meeting, and he had understood that, and the group that he loves used to be my home group. when I first got sober, but I go to Alpha a lot now. So we were sitting there and it was talking about God, and he has always had a problem with the God thing. And he said, I realized that I could just use the universe for God. And I have literally stayed out of it because, listen, do you really need my advice? No, no, no. You need everybody else's. So we were sitting there and he goes, I found myself shaking my head going, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, like, you really think like that, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, that's really the way I think. And so it's been very interesting. We try not to go to a lot of meetings together, but when we do, and I'll tell him, remember what you hear here, you're just going to leave it here because I don't know what kind of mood I'm in. And so it's because you just never know what's going to come out of my mouth. I cannot go
that's
in
what we
there
love
and-
about you, though.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be. But
If y'all want, no one will hear this in time, but yes, we're all looking forward to this story tonight that she's going to tell because we don't know what's going to come out of her
That's
mouth.
why we got to
Yeah.
record it. It's like once
Yeah.
in a lifetime thing.
I had
If
to
you can-
count back the years. Can I say this publicly yet? Yes, I can say that.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
so
statute of
Things I
limitations.
cannot.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
statute of limitations is important.
It is.
I went to a friend of mine's dad's funeral in New Orleans a few months ago or something, and grew up with those guys, and we drank and all that, and had a good time. You know how they do in South Louisiana. He was a good man, but he kind of, we had a crew that all ran together, and he did with us go to concerts and all that. And my friend, we get there, and they're up doing memorial stuff with a microphone, telling stories. And my friend, his son, comes over to me, and he goes, hey, I expect you to say something about Dad, kind of joking, And he wasn't being all the way serious, but I looked at him, I said, bro, there's nothing I'm going to tell that's legal. Like, I don't got nothing. Like, I can't tell nothing. So, and he goes, no, I do understand that. I said, I'm just going to let that go. I'm not going to besmirch a man after he's passed away, So,
Right.
but anyway, yeah, I feel you on that.
So what does action look like to you guys?
Doing something. Not in outside of AA. Okay, I would imagine action would be, I'm a good father. I tell my kids every day I love them.
Okay.
Okay, or that's not action. That's words, right?
Exactly.
For me, or I'm a good son. I tell my mom that I love her, or action is actually doing something.
Right.
For me, I was thinking about myself, and I do that quite often. Think about myself, and I was thinking about whether or not I would never be. I say I'd never. Shit, I don't know what would never happen. But this cat, who did this, that spawned the topic, right? I say I would never be in that position. Obviously, I personally just don't care enough to do any of that. But I was thinking about myself, if I was in his position and I had to write a letter, I wouldn't have to tell my kids I love them.
They'd know.
Yeah, they know because of the things I do, and not necessarily the things I did, right? But the things I still do, no matter what. And, I'll be honest with you, like I'll get home tonight at midnight. I'll be editing at least the voice part of this until 3. I got to be at work at 7. And then I'm going to go help my son change a alternator in one of his cars, and I'm going to go do that. And if he wants me to stay, great. If he don't, great, And on top of that, what actions can I take to be a good grandfather? I show up at the hospital to see that one kid, Everest. I go pick up my grandson when I can and take him to the arcade because that's just what he likes to do. But my Valentine I don't see as much because of the back and forth. But when I do have time, she's the only person in the world at that moment, right? So, but none of them are going to have to wonder that it's not something, I can say anything. You can literally say it. That's what action looks like to me. Are you actually, and I'm not saying, especially for kids, you don't have to go spend a ton of money on kids. That's not until they get in their 20s. But it's a big deal that you actually do something, I remember kids when I was growing up, especially single moms or single dads, and the child and the parent having a really good relationship, and then mom goes to Cowboys one night and, comes home with a cowboy.
To Cowboys.
And next thing you know, mom doesn't really have anything to do with it. She's focused on that dude or whatever it is that comes into their life. And that's something they're going to remember.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that's wrong or right, by the way. That's none of my business.
But that's kind of what I was telling Trace today about him making his mom the Mother's Day card. You can run in there and say Happy Mother's Day, but the best thing on the planet is he took the time on his own time and thought about what to do, and he made a little thing for her. That's the action of it. You know what I mean? That's what she's gonna love about it.
Yep.
Is that
it
he
means
put the
more
action.
than anything. I
Sure,
mean, I still have
sure.
things that my children made me that go on the Christmas tree.
I still got
And I
some
love
stuff
it.
the kids made. They didn't make it for me,
Yeah.
but they made it for their mother, and I kept it.
Yeah.
And still have it to this day that they did when they were children.
And one day they'll want it.
I do feel that my words hold weight now. I mean, I still feel that I can say things and mean them. Maybe partly because I've recovered and I don't go around lying and doing all the BS I was doing before. And that can be taken, pretty seriously.
Well, you do gather sober cred after a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, you don't get it as fast as you think you deserve it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And I remember that, because like what I had to do since I was so full of it is build trust back, and it did take time and quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the main reasons that I moved home, it wasn't that my mother had to have me there, but I had taken such advantage of my mother. At one point I was very angry, so I did some really horrible things. And for me to go home and to be a shampoo person for her, and just to vacuum for her, and to go to the store, not that she needs it, but it's just my way of, showing her that I truly care, and I don't want her to ever feel alone again, and so that's a good thing, and I enjoy that, and she enjoys me being there. But it's hard, the only thing I had when I got back was just my word. I mean, I had nothing except for the tennis shoes I'd stole. So, yeah. And so I thought, this is all I have is my word. And because I had those years in recovery, I knew there were things that I knew. And I knew if I don't do this, then this is not going to work. And so if I said something, I did it no matter what. And that took time. And man, me and my daughter have such a great relationship. I mean, do you really think I'd be allowed at my ex-husband's house with the wife that was driving the car that I blew my whole world up at 3 years of sobriety? No.
Yeah.
It had to be my actions that did that.
Yeah. And,
crazy.
And you do, though. But through those actions and through the everyday actions, you gather sober cred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part, I created, emotional scars in the kids and their mom that may not ever completely heal over, right? But for the most part, they'll dull. Mm-hmm. It won't be. I'll put it to you like this. I drove my granddaughter back from Dallas to Bossier, just me and her, right? And I completely forgot what it was like to have a little kid, by the way. You're like, oh, I'm fixing to run in the store and use the restroom. And then you're like, oh, I got a little girl with me.
Yeah.
What do you
drive. I'm tired.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do? What do you do? Like, you go in there with all these dudes, and then you got a little girl with you, or, so it's like those things a parent has to figure out. I hadn't had to figure out, right? But I drove my granddaughter all the way back over here one day from Dallas, and I got to spend that, whatever. And she don't say much, right? But the fact that no one batted a lash, I thought this is me at 14, almost 14, next month. Whenever I posed the idea, because my daughter was in a dilemma, why don't I just take her back it wasn't. Well, I don't know, Dad. You know, it wasn't like that. Of course, because my daughter knows I can drive really well drunk, but it was that nobody batted a lash.
Right.
Like it was just, you would do that for me. Thank you so much. I've got to get her. You know, and I was thinking like that the whole time. I was thinking of posing the idea. I was thinking they was going to shoot me down. You know, or taking my grandson to the arcade. Right. The first time I went and picked him up, and it was just me and him. You know, I figured I was going to get this speech. You know, don't do this, don't do this. He's got to do this. That. Nothing. They didn't even tell me about his insulin. Nothing. Just take him. Go. You know, and so that was, you know, that's the. Sometimes we don't give ourselves as much credit as the people we care about do.
I think
Yeah.
when we're trying to do it right, though, and like knowing you in that position, you don't turn around and go, hey, you know, y'all didn't give me instructions
Right.
You just think about it later, and you're like, you know what, they never said nothing. And that's those beautiful, beautiful things about recovery, those little moments where it's just like, hey, okay, something's working
promises.
here, you know? Yeah.
The promise is coming true.
And people in their own way let you know
Yeah.
you're moving in the right track. You know, you're moving down the track. So
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, you know, you get into recovery, and that's also a big one for us that have been around for any length of time that actually sponsor people. You can see the people who are actually doing the work as opposed to the people who are just saying, you know, for pointing, and this has never happened, but I've been around and I've heard people say, you know, I'm going to go, yeah, man, I'm going to go. I get on my knees and I pray every morning, and that Lord's going to take care of me, and, you know, I'm going to get around these steps, and but they don't do the work. They do a lot of talking to God, you know, and the whole point is to do the work to get closer to God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're never alone.
And I had a friend that, you know, happened to it. I brought her up on here. You know, she just went to meetings. I was like, you got to do more than that. Please work the steps. Please work the steps. She's like, no.
yeah.
I was like, that's where the magic is right there.
That's a big deal.
But she wasn't willing to do that, and you know, took her life, you know, a couple of years ago. But still, like, it's evident, you know, when people don't take the action, you know, that what is required, you know, to get sober and stay sober. It comes out of their pores, their attitude, their words, all of that. I like to think that as a result of all the action I've taken, I'm a totally different person.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that my mom, you know, will always, you know, she always says things like that, like, oh my gosh, I really like your character, and I'm really proud of the woman you become, and things like that. I'm just
Drive
like,
a Volvo, for heaven's sakes. God, says volumes.
Mike,
I'm just messing with you.
I'm going to.
The
I'm just kidding.
Subaru said a lot too. I'm just saying.
I didn't say shit.
He drove me crazy at the end when my mother would say about a year before I got back to AA, she would say, we just want the old Lisa back. And I'm like, well, who the hell? I mean, here, what? I'm right here. And she'd be like, no, we want the old Lisa back. And I think, well, I don't know where she is. Maybe the bitch died. I don't know. I mean, because I just didn't get it. And you don't get it. You can't see until you can see.
Yeah. You know, I love sports, and I saw something with Derek Jeter one time, and I'm not a Yankees fan, but I am a Derek Jeter fan.
Me too.
And it applies to, it was action by him, and later some words that explained it, but it'd take a second to tell. But he, late in his career, was about to retire. It's toward the end of the season. The Yankees aren't even going to make the playoffs, right? It was a road game. They're in Minnesota. This guy's a 20-year vet, going to go in the Hall of Fame, all that stuff. He comes up to bat. They're down in the game by 6 or 7 runs. He comes up to bat late in the game, hits a slow ground ball to second base. He runs 100 miles an hour fast as he can go all the way to first. They throw him out by 10 feet. Goes off the field. After the game, the lady's interviewing him. And she says, why did you run that fast? Why did you hustle down the line? You knew he was going to throw you out by 20 feet with all that going on. It's late in the season. It don't matter is what the lady was basically asking him. And he looked at her and he said, what do you mean? And like it genuinely confused him. And she said, why would you hustle like that? Y'all are losing. You're going to lose that game, more like all these things. And he said, ma'am, the Yankees paid me to do this. The people that bought tickets today came to see us play. And he said, I have teammates on the bench that are watching to see if I hustle down the line when I hit a ground ball that I know I'm going to be out on.
Right.
And he said all these factors, and I went, that's why he's
that.
a cheater. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said all that other shit didn't matter.
No.
It's hit the ball, run as fast as you can. And he said, what if he throws the ball away? What if he makes a mistake and I get on base? We start a rally. And the game, even if they'd have won, it would have been meaningless. They're not going to the playoffs. But the thing was, we do what we're supposed to do and do that action because you don't know what all's going on around you. But that impressed me about Jeter, and it's always stuck with me that he just couldn't even fathom. He's looking at the lady like, what do you mean? Why wouldn't I do that? You know? So, anyway.
Doesn't it state in the big book that self-knowledge avails us nothing?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Half measures availed us nothing.
Right.
Self-knowledge is, you even have a couple stories in the big book where the guy went to go see Carl Jung, and Carl Jung actually said that, that self-knowledge is obviously not working for you, because they left with all this knowledge of self. Bill Wilson the same way. He's after his first trip to Towns Hospital. He left saying, hey, I got this thing now. The gin mills be damned. I can scoff at them. I don't even know if people really talk like that or not. But
You ever been in a gin mill?
no, I've never been.
I don't think I have
I've
either.
been in Grapevine Mills and Nashville Mills, and that's about it. Do y'all ever
I've
like
been in sawmill.
like a saw? There's a show. I think it's called Nosferatu or something. Nosferatu. It's
Yeah.
about, Anyway, like the people in it, how they talk. Do people really talk like that?
I had to stop watching it because I was so sick of hearing him talk.
Do people? Not even
I don't
him. It's
know
like
how-
everybody.
what they
Do
talk
people?
like.
They wake up and no, like that.
Yes, I mean like scoff and whatnot.
Like when they talk to the camera, it's just the damsel is. I mean, who the hell talks like that?
I don't know Old
The
English.
damsel is upset today. What shall I do? Shall I spank the pony? Do you really say that?
Mike,
I mean,
what the hell just happened?
no, it's just an example.
Shall I spank the pony?
Yeah.
Is that
You
a
got
term?
Louisiana quick there. On
Bring,
the last.
you bring tears to my eyes, fair maiden.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Do you think anybody ever actually called a chick a fair maiden?
Yes, this was like 18.
But why?
1700s.
So I had-
When did we quit? When did we quit?
I don't know.
I mean, it's just almost like I don't understand what my niece says. I don't know what that means.
That's another language
What did
right
she
there.
say the other day? I had come down. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I came to her house and she was in bed, so I ran up, and was waking her up. I was like, "Hey, sweetie," and we were just talking about all kinds of stuff. And I said something was like about a guy being macho, and she's like, "I don't know what that word means."
Oh, yeah.
And I went, "What? Like, how do you not know what macho means?"
I'm still trying
Do
to
you see
figure
what-
out cap, no cap, all that crap that they.
I
Yeah, my
don't know.
kids
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
They're throwing out all kind
Well,
of stuff.
time changes and verbiage.
Yeah.
It does, but I mean, we went from fair maiden,
To-
and we talked all proper, but yet it was perfectly okay to execute your wife to get a divorce, and now you got to go through all these
think about
legalities. And you
person-
talk any way you want. Completely opposite.
Yeah.
Not that any of it's right. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it was different, and that was not in this country. That was in England. I think we talk normal, kind of like John Wayne. Whenever But-
No, we do not talk like John Wayne.
well, I mean, not all of us. It's
Oh.
like in
But
the,
me and Mike in our head, we picture
You
ourselves
think you're
as John
John
Wayne.
Wayne.
well, I'm more of a Chuck Norris guy. Like
Yeah.
if UFC was back then and they had like a celebrity John Wayne versus Chuck Norris, who would win? Kind
Well, Chuck Norris would because
Yeah.
he would have the nunchucks.
John had a drinking problem and was out of shape,
Yeah.
smoked a lot.
And
You know.
butthead when I look at y'all.
Yeah. Well, that's accurate.
John Wayne, and it's not with it.
That is accurate.
If you ever think about it, like Chuck Norris in that one movie, Lone Wolf McQuade, against Rambo, Stallone and Rambo, like if they were UFC in it,
No,
A little bit.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I didn't say that everyone else sees us that way. I'm saying that's how we see ourselves in our
Yeah.
mind. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe
I
it
picture
would get
John
better,
Wayne
yeah.
when I picture myself, and that's
I
maybe I
don't-
need to work on that.
And when I stand in
think you
front of the
do.
mirror at night and contemplate, I'll be like, John Wayne wished he had all these tattoos.
Mike, I was at a garage sale the other day. Lacey's on a 3-hour loop through this crap these people have at their house, and I see a thing of nunchucks hanging on the deal, and I'm like, ooh, nunchucks. And I go to get them. Some old man goes right in front of me, grabs them, and he's just walking around with them. And I was like, are you going to buy those? Because I was going to if he didn't. And he goes, oh, no, these are mine. I'm like, dang, the only thing at the whole garage sale.
Generally, if you find nunchucks at garage sale, you're also gonna find a butterfly knife.
No, I didn't see any.
Yeah, same
anything like that.
error.
It was
It's
all-
like, hey man, did you bring the nunchucks? Yeah. Did you got the throwing stars? Yeah. You got the
Got the
but-
switchblade.
Throwing stars.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Remember those? How about we get our 8-year-old kids some throwing stars?
Bro,
you
me
know?
and my brothers used to go outside and play war and shoot each other with actual BB guns.
Yeah, we did too. That's what happened right here.
Pound each other.
That's
Yeah.
for baby. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Now they would put you in jail for that. you
Yeah.
know? And then my dad was like, quit wasting BBs.
Yeah, that's what it's a complete waste of BBs.
Is that my BB gun you're shooting?
Use the 22, damn it.
Yeah.
We got 1,000 rounds of
It's a
those.
lot more effective.
Plus, we have a clear winner.
Exactly. Exactly. But I mean, I love growing up when I did, though. I'm glad I
Me
didn't.
too, man.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's kind of cliche at this point, but we actually did drink out of the water hose, and-
Absolutely.
and you have to wait on that first burst of hot ass
Oh my
water to
God,
come out.
yes.
You got hot, rusty ass water coming out, and then you start drinking.
Somebody the other day was like, yeah, when's the last time anyone drank out of a water hose? I was like, I did yesterday.
Me too.
Like, I
if
just
I'm
did it.
outside and it's running, then I'm going.
Yeah.
Man, we drink out of a creek.
Oh, bro. Bro.
We might
needed-
explain some of the gastrointestinal
Oh,
problems. But,
man.
yeah.
Don't even get me started. We were horrible. Horrible.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even say horrible. It was just normal.
Yeah, you just didn't.
It was the norm in the 80s.
was.
When you were 8 years old, it was perfectly okay to be all by yourself all day long.
Yes. Or leave the house and just not come back until dark.
My brother Caleb literally
Yeah.
put a towel clothespin on his back. The stereotype jumps off the roof of our house. He's like 7. My mom's inside cleaning, snaps his arm, She comes in, he's like, what are you doing? I was Superman, arm twig snapping, And mom's like, well, all right, we'll have to go get that fixed. Nobody ever said, don't get on the roof. I never heard that. They're just like, see what happens when you jump on the
But
roof.
did you sign his cast?
I don't remember what they did with that.
know you did.
I probably did because everybody did.
See, when I was a kid, they just amputated it because we were under the impression it'd grow back. Boy, was we wrong.
I mean, yeah, that was a big deal back then. But we didn't care, man. We survived it all. So
So many stub toes.
Yeah,
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
happened to that?
Do people still stub their toes? I don't think they do.
People
I
don't
think-
go out without shoes on.
I think it's part of evolution. The brain has now adjusted to where we know, like, yeah, but man, people have bloody ass into their toes and
I mean, it was all the time.
My
stepping
dad-
on bottle tops.
Yeah.
my dad was a pastor. He bought a piano, one of them stand up, the little, not the big ones, but the stand ups that go against the wall. He bought one of them to put in the church. Him and this guy go over there and they load it in the truck. He puts me, my 2 younger brothers, ages 10, 8, and 7, and says, hold on to that. And they jump in the cab of the truck and take off. Tailgate down, freaking piano. Through Alexandria. This wasn't out in the country. Yeah,
yeah.
we're just looping through town and we're holding on. This thing's rocking
For dear
because you could afford to lose a child or two back
It wasn't
then.
illegal back
wasn't
then.
Plus,
Yeah.
back then there wasn't the hole in the ozone layers, so you had a lot more gravity.
I don't ever remember my
holding you
dad
down
on
in the back of the truck, and I mean, it wasn't even. It wasn't
hell?
even
Dude, you're
fun.
making shit up.
It wasn't even fun riding in the back of the truck if you didn't have one of them white toolboxes that had a little rust
Yeah.
on the edges.
Sit up on the top of that thing. Too.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
like, shit. I mean, like,
who
seatbelts
tells
had
a
just become
child-
legal.
And now you drive down the road and you see a dog in the back of the truck and you're like, oh god,
Somebody
dog,
get that dog.
That dog's gonna fly. And you're like, man,
We used to have people back
really?
there.
There was
Well,
12
and
of us,
a lot of
and
people-
only 11
well,
of
that's
us
why
made
it's
it.
legal to do that now.
Yeah.
Because we
We slung enough children out.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Well, I mean, I had an uncle just flew straight out the side of the door. I mean,
I
if I'm
jumped
not
out of the
mistaken,
car.
he flew at they turned the corner real fast. He flew out, popped his head on concrete, popped his eyeballs out, and
Stopped,
Oh,
got him, put
Mike.
the eyeballs back
yeah,
in.
yeah.
You know?
Jeez.
yeah.
What are you doing?
If I'm not mistaken, his name was Roy. So I mean, it can happen anywhere. Is what I'm saying. You got to be in the back of a truck,
No, you're right. You're right.
you know, or you could fall off a porch. Just
Yeah.
saying.
I've done
I
that.
can.
Sprained an ankle.
Yeah.
I mean, I fell off the driveway the other day and just laid out in the middle of the driveway.
Now, I will
I
say
said,
this
oh
at
my
our
God,
house.
you got to get up.
Lacey's got those little cameras,
can't.
you know?
Yeah.
So
I did,
we've
I
got it
started
on
laughing.
video when you
Oh.
bust your butt at our house.
America's Funniest Home Video.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guys, we're gonna have to wrap it up so we can get Lisa up there to tell her story.
Yeah.
And Lisa, we do appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And
At
look
least I
for
have the right mic for tonight.
action, action, not words, though. It's what we do, not what we say.
Is that what I should do tonight? Is action instead of words?
Just tell your story.
Just stand there.
Let her rip. Tell
Yeah,
you the truth.
just let it rip.
Act it out.
And I can't think of anything else. Oh, real quick, we are on the cusp of 10,000 listens, right?
Okay.
We have a total of like 9,973 listens. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you, guys.
And we have a new country, I think. I'm not sure if it was there last time I talked about it, but the Czech Republic.
Wow.
Sweet. Very sweet. That's cool.
Oh, was you fixing to say something, Jill? Is it somebody you know in the Czech Republic? You know?
No.
Yeah. Somebody went back to visit the Czech Republic. You know, I have several people that work for me from that region of the country, work with me, I should say. I don't like using the word for me. But they work with me, and they're from that region of the world. And I asked, she said it's, so the lady I talked to said it was the old Czechoslovakia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, Mr. Geographer over here.
John Wayne, bro. I'm the John Wayne of geography.
Or a biologist, whatever it is. He's a
I was
geologist.
truck a lot drunk.
He's a
so you know.
geologist. He
No,
tells us what kind of
that's-
oil to put on our skin.
My buddy was talking to this girl in a bar one night, and he was one of those guys that never could pick up women, you know?
Yeah.
And he's talking to this girl, and he'd been talking to her a while, and we're all over at another table. We're like, dang, I think he's getting somewhere. And so we got up, and we went up there and kind of sneaking up by him to hear what the conversation is. And she's like, oh, you seem to be doing well. And what do you do for a living? He said, baby, I'm an architect.
Yeah.
Old architect.
He must have Googled it.
Wow.
So
Now, in England,
you
if you're
go.
an architect, you don't know. They
We
they
just
say
left him
arse
alone.
in England.
Oh,
Just
yes,
left him
yes, yes,
alone.
yes.
Okay, just checking. All right, guys. So we've been at Rule 62 Studio. We have been in Bossier City, Louisiana, and as always, we've been the Grouch and the Brainstorm.